The camera opens on a windswept coastline, not the manicured beaches of Malibu, but the rugged, unforgiving shores of the Outer Hebrides in Scotland. A lone figure, silhouetted against the gray sky, is splitting logs with methodical precision. This is John Stratton, though few know him by that name anymore. Jason Statham embodies the weariness of a man trying to outrun his past. He's built a life of deliberate simplicity. A stone cottage, sparsely furnished, a battered Land Rover. Days spent fishing. Nights spent reading classic literature. Anything to fill the void left by years of violence and loss. The quiet is a balm, but also a constant reminder of the screams he can't silence. We see glimpses of that past in fleeting flashbacks. A chaotic firefight in a dusty Middle Eastern city. The anguished face of a comrade falling in battle. A woman's tear-streaked face as he walks away. These images haunt his dreams, fueling the restless energy that even retirement can't contain. He's a coiled spring, ready to unleash, though he desperately hopes he never has to again. His face is etched with lines that speak of hard-won battles and difficult choices. The eyes, though, are the giveaway. They hold a depth of experience, a knowledge of the darkness that lurks within humanity. They are the eyes of a man who has seen too much, done too much, and carries the weight of it all. The local villagers know him as a recluse, a man of few words but unwavering integrity. They respect his privacy, sensing the pain he carries. He occasionally helps them with repairs or offers a hand during the harsh winter months. It's a small way of giving back, of atoning for the sins of his past. One particularly stormy evening, as Stratton is immersed in a worn copy of Conrad, a piercing electronic ring shatters the tranquility. It's an encrypted satellite phone, a relic from his former life, one he thought he'd buried long ago. He hesitates, his hand hovering over the device. Answering it means opening the door to a world he swore he'd left behind. But the urgency of the insistent ringing is undeniable. He knows, deep down, that whatever is on the other end of that line will change everything. Reluctantly, he picks up the phone. The voice on the other end is clipped, professional, and devoid of warmth. It's his former handler, Olivia Sterling. Her words are brief, to the point, and chilling. "Stratton, we have a problem. A big one. And you're the only one who can solve it." The quiet life is over. The hunt begins again. The storm outside Stratton's cottage mirrors the storm brewing across the globe. Olivia Sterling's terse words hang in the air as Stratton watches the news reports flickering across the small television screen. Chaos reigns. London is gridlocked, its traffic lights frozen on red, creating a serpentine mess of stalled vehicles. New York City is plunged into darkness, its iconic skyline swallowed by an impenetrable blackness. Hospitals are overwhelmed, their life support systems faltering. Financial markets are in freefall, triggering panic and uncertainty. The digital arteries of the world have been severed. Initial reports point the finger at North Korea, Russia, or perhaps even a coordinated effort by multiple state-sponsored actors. The news anchors, their faces etched with concern, speak of unprecedented damage, of potential economic collapse, of societal breakdown. The internet, once a symbol of global connectivity, has become a weapon of mass disruption. Stratton watches with a grim understanding that he's seen this kind of calculated destruction before, though never on this scale. This isn't just about stealing data or disrupting services. It's about sowing discord, about bringing the world to its knees. The phone rings again. It's Sterling, her voice even more urgent than before. The initial reports were wrong. Stratton, it's not a nation-state. It's something far more dangerous. It's the architect. The name hits Stratton like a punch to the gut. The architect, a ghost from his past, a brilliant but twisted mind he thought he'd buried years ago. Sterling explains that the architect has unleashed a sophisticated cyber attack that has bypassed all existing security protocols. He's infiltrated critical infrastructure systems, holding the world hostage. His motives are unclear, his demands unknown. All that's certain is that he has the power to plunge the world into a digital dark age. The global implications are staggering. Food supply chains are collapsing. Communication networks are down. Emergency services are struggling to cope. The world is teetering on the brink of anarchy. Stratton knows that time is of the essence. Every second that passes brings the world closer to the abyss. He glances at the old nautical chart hanging on his wall. a reminder of his days in the Royal Marines. He knows he's facing a global crisis, a threat that spans continents. He turns to Sterling, his voice resolute. Tell me everything you know about the architect's current location, that I'm going to need resources, contacts, and a way off this island. The hunt is on. The quiet life is a distant memory. Stratton is back in the game, and the stakes have never been higher. The fate of the world hangs in the balance. The revelation of the architect's involvement hangs heavy in the air, thicker than the Scottish mist clinging to the coastline, that it's not simply a case of Stratton being the best man for the job. It's personal. There's a shared history, a wound that hasn't fully healed, making him the only one who truly understands the enemy. Sterling doesn't mince words. We've tried everything, Stratton. Firewalls, counterattacks, nothing works. The architect is 3 steps ahead of us. That you're the only one who's ever gotten close to him, who's ever seen his face and lived to tell the tale. The encounter she refers to was a botched mission in Prague 10 years prior. Stratton was tasked with infiltrating the architect's network, but the operation went sideways, resulting in the deaths of several operatives and the architect's escape. Stratton carries the burden of that failure, the guilt of those lost lives fueling his reluctance to re-engage. Sterling plays on this guilt, subtly reminding him of his oath, of his duty to protect innocent lives. Think of the people who are suffering, Stratton. The hospitals without power, the families stranded without communication. You can't turn your back on them. But it's not just guilt that motivates him. There's a simmering rage, a desire for retribution. The architect's actions are a direct challenge, a personal affront. Stratton can't allow him to succeed, to unleash chaos upon the world. I need to know everything, Stratton demands, his voice hardening. His current capabilities, his network, his weaknesses. Sterling provides a briefing package, satellite images, intelligence reports, psychological profiles. The architect's real name is revealed, Elias Thorne, a former prodigy in artificial intelligence who became disillusioned with the world, convinced that technology could be used to control and manipulate the masses. He's a ghost, Sterling warns. He operates in the shadows, leaving no trace. He's a master of deception, a chameleon who can blend into any environment. Stratton knows he's facing a formidable opponent, a man who is as intelligent as he is ruthless. But he's also confident in his own abilities, in his years of experience, in his unwavering determination. Give me 24 hours, Stratton says, his eyes fixed on the horizon. I need to prepare. He hangs up the phone, a sense of grim purpose settling over him that he knows this mission will be his most challenging yet. A journey into the heart of darkness. He must confront not only the architect, but also the demons of his own past. The world is counting on him, and he can't afford to fail. As Stratton begins his preparations, stripping down his old weapons, calibrating his senses for the impending storm. The world is plunged into further chaos. The architect makes his move, a chilling broadcast, interrupting every television and radio station across the globe. His face, obscured by digital distortion, fills the screens, his voice a synthesized monotone that sends shivers down the spine. Citizens of the world, he begins, your reliance on technology has made you weak, vulnerable. That I have demonstrated the fragility of your digital existence. Now, you will heed my demands. He outlines his ultimatum. Complete global blackout in 72 hours unless his demands are met. The demands themselves are not about money or power in the traditional sense. They are far more insidious, designed to dismantle the very foundations of society. He calls for the abolition of all national borders, the dissolution of all governments, and the complete eradication of currency. That he wants to usher in a new world order, a world without structure, without rules, where chaos reigns supreme. He believes that only through destruction can true freedom be achieved. The broadcast sends shockwaves through the already panicked population. Some see him as a revolutionary, a visionary who dares to challenge the status quo. Others see him as a madman, a dangerous ideologue who threatens to plunge the world into anarchy. World leaders scramble to respond, issuing statements of condemnation and vowing to resist the architect's demands. But their words ring hollow in the face of the overwhelming technological power he wields. They are powerless to stop him, their digital defenses rendered useless. Stratton watches the broadcast with a growing sense of urgency. He understands the architect's twisted logic, his desire to tear down the existing order. He knows that giving in to his demands would be catastrophic, leading to widespread violence and societal collapse. That he receives another call from Sterling, her voice laced with desperation. The world is falling apart. Stratton, that we have to stop him, that we have to find him. The clock is ticking. 72 hours. That's all the time Stratton has to locate the architect, to disable his network, to prevent the global blackout. That he knows he's facing an impossible task, but he refuses to back down. That he gathers his gear, a duffel bag containing his weapons, his communication devices, and a few personal items. He takes one last look at his cottage, at the life he's built for himself in the Scottish wilderness. He knows he may never see it again. As he steps out into the stormy night, a sense of grim determination washes over him. He's ready to face the architect, to confront the darkness that threatens to consume the world. The hunt is on, and the stakes have never been higher. The fate of humanity rests on his shoulders. Stratton arrives in Berlin under the cover of darkness, a ghost slipping through the fractured city. The once vibrant metropolis is now a shadow of its former self, the cyber attack having crippled its infrastructure. Power outages are frequent, communication lines are down, and a palpable sense of unease hangs in the air. His intel, provided by Sterling, points to a dilapidated warehouse on the outskirts of the city, a known safehouse for the architect's network of associates. It's a risky lead, but it's the only one he has. He approaches the warehouse cautiously, his senses on high alert. The building is shrouded in darkness, but he can hear the faint sounds of activity inside. Hushed voices, the clinking of glasses, the low hum of electronic equipment. That he breaches the warehouse through a back entrance, moving with the silent precision of a seasoned operative. Inside, he finds a group of hardened mercenaries, their faces illuminated by the flickering glow of computer screens. They are clearly involved in the architect's operation, monitoring the global chaos and coordinating their efforts. The element of surprise is Stratton's greatest weapon. That he unleashes a torrent of gunfire, taking down several mercenaries before they can react. The warehouse erupts in a chaotic firefight, bullets ricocheting off metal surfaces, shattering glass, and filling the air with the acrid smell of gunpowder. Stratton moves with deadly efficiency, using his tactical skills and brutal combat prowess to eliminate the remaining mercenaries. He's a force of nature, a whirlwind of violence that leaves a trail of destruction in its wake. Despite his superior skills, he's not invincible. A stray bullet grazes his arm, causing a searing pain. That he ignores it. Focusing on the task at hand, he systematically searches the warehouse, sifting through computer files, hard drives, and documents. He's looking for anything that might lead him to the architect's current location, anything that might help him prevent the global blackout. Finally, he finds what he's looking for, an encrypted file containing a series of coordinates. He downloads the file onto a secure flash drive, knowing that it could be the key to stopping the architect. As he prepares to leave, he's confronted by the last remaining mercenary, a hulking brute wielding a heavy machine gun. A fierce hand-to-hand combat ensues, a brutal clash of strength and skill. Stratton manages to disarm the mercenary and subdue him, leaving him unconscious on the floor. He escapes the warehouse just as police sirens wail in the distance. He's secured a vital piece of intel, but he's also made himself a target. The architect knows he's coming, and he'll be waiting. The clock is ticking, and the race against time has just begun. The encrypted file from Berlin reveals its secret coordinates, pinpointing a massive server farm hidden deep within the Moroccan desert. Stratton knows this is likely the heart of the architect's operation, the source of the devastating cyber attack. He needs to get to Morocco immediately, but time is running out. The 72-hour deadline is rapidly approaching, and the world is descending further into chaos. Airports are in disarray, flights are delayed or canceled, and securing transportation is a logistical nightmare. Sterling pulls strings, using her influence to arrange a private jet, but even that is fraught with complications. Bureaucratic red tape, security protocols, and corrupt officials all stand in his way. He has to navigate a labyrinth of obstacles, using his wits and his considerable charm, or lack thereof, to expedite the process. At one point, he's confronted by a customs official demanding a hefty bribe to overlook certain irregularities in his paperwork. Stratton refuses to be extorted, resorting to more persuasive methods to get his way. A tense standoff ensues, ending with the official reluctantly backing down, realizing he's dealing with someone who is not to be trifled with. The flight to Morocco is turbulent, mirroring the turmoil on the ground. Stratton uses the time to analyze the data he recovered from the Berlin warehouse, trying to glean any further insights into the architect's plans. He needs to anticipate his next move. To understand his weaknesses, he arrives in Morocco under the scorching desert sun, the heat radiating off the sand like a furnace. He's met by a local contact, arranged by Sterling, a shadowy figure who promises to provide assistance. But Stratton trusts no one. He knows that in this world of espionage and betrayal, allegiances can shift in an instant. His contact leads him to a secluded oasis, a hidden haven in the vast desert landscape. From there, they plan their approach to the server farm, a heavily guarded facility that is virtually impenetrable. Stratton knows he's facing a formidable challenge. The server farm is protected by state-of-the-art security systems, armed guards, and surveillance technology. That he needs a plan, a strategy to infiltrate the facility and disable the architect's network. But time is not on his side. The global blackout looms closer, and the world is counting on him. But he has to move quickly, to take risks, to push himself to the limit. The fate of humanity hangs in the balance. The shadowy contact, Omar, leads Stratton deeper into the Moroccan desert, to a hidden oasis that serves as a clandestine meeting point. It's here that Stratton meets his unlikely ally, Zara, a fiercely independent and exceptionally skilled hacker. Zara is initially reluctant to get involved, as she's wary of outsiders, especially those connected to government agencies, as she's seen firsthand the corruption and exploitation that plague her country, and she doesn't want to be a pawn in anyone's game. "I'm not interested in your wars," she tells Stratton, her eyes flashing with defiance. "I just want to be left alone." But Stratton is persuasive. He explains the gravity of the situation, the potential consequences of the architect's actions. He appeals to her sense of justice, her desire to protect innocent lives. He shows her the data he recovered from Berlin, the evidence of the architect's plan to plunge the world into chaos. Zara is impressed by Stratton's determination, his unwavering commitment to stopping the architect. She also recognizes the potential for good, the opportunity to use her skills to make a difference. "What do you need me to do?" she asks, her voice softening. Stratton explains that he needs Zara's expertise to bypass the server farm's security systems, to disable the architect's network, and to upload a counter-virus. He needs her to be his eyes and ears on the inside, to provide him with real-time intelligence. That a tense partnership forms between Stratton and Zara. They are two very different people, from different worlds, with different motivations. But they share a common goal, to stop the architect and save the world. Zara is a master of technology, a digital ninja who can navigate the complex world of cyberspace with ease, but she's also fiercely independent, a survivor who has learned to rely on her own skills and instincts. Stratton is a seasoned operative, a hardened warrior who is accustomed to working alone. That he's wary of relying on others, especially those he doesn't know. Despite their differences, they quickly learn to trust each other, to respect each other's abilities. They recognize that they need each other to succeed. As they prepare to infiltrate the server farm, they develop a plan, a strategy that combines Stratton's tactical skills with Zara's technological expertise. They know they're facing a formidable challenge, but they're determined to overcome it. The clock is ticking, and the fate of the world depends on their success. Under the cloak of a moonless night, Stratton and Zara launch their assault on the server farm. Zara, using her hacking skills, disables the perimeter security cameras, creating a window for Stratton to slip through the outer defenses. Inside, they face wave after wave of mercenaries, heavily armed and fiercely loyal to the architect. Stratton moves through the corridors like a phantom, taking down enemies with brutal efficiency. He utilizes stealth, close-quarters combat, and a variety of improvised weapons to neutralize the opposition. Zara, meanwhile, works tirelessly to bypass the internal security systems, opening doors, disabling alarms, and clearing a path for Stratton. She's a digital warrior, fighting a battle in cyberspace, while Stratton fights the physical one. That they reach the central server room, the heart of the architect's operation. But before they can access the main control panel, They are confronted by a squad of elite mercenaries, led by a ruthless commander that a fierce firefight erupts, bullets flying in every direction. Stratton uses his tactical skills to outmaneuver the mercenaries, taking cover behind overturned server racks and using the environment to his advantage. Zara provides covering fire, using her hacking skills to disrupt the mercenaries' communication systems and create distractions. Despite their best efforts, they are outnumbered and outgunned. They manage to disable the main control panel, but not before triggering a facility-wide alarm. They are forced to retreat, their escape route compromised. They burst out of the server farm into the vast expanse of the Moroccan desert, pursued by a convoy of heavily armed vehicles. That a thrilling chase scene ensues, a high-octane battle of wits and speed. Stratton and Zara commandeer a dune buggy and race across the sand dunes, dodging bullets and explosions. They use their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage, weaving through canyons and navigating treacherous sand traps. The mercenaries are relentless in their pursuit, closing in on Stratton and Zara, but Stratton is a skilled driver, pushing the dune buggy to its limits. Zara provides navigation, using her satellite technology to avoid obstacles and pinpoint the mercenaries' location. As the chase intensifies, Stratton executes a daring maneuver, driving the dune buggy off a steep cliff, sending it soaring through the air. The mercenaries' vehicles follow, but they are not as skilled as Stratton. One of the vehicles crashes, exploding in a ball of fire. Stratton and Zara manage to land safely on the other side of the cliff, leaving the remaining mercenaries behind. They escape into the vastness of the Moroccan desert, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. They've struck a blow against the architect, but they know that he's not going to give up easily. The chase is far from over. Safe in a secluded canyon, hidden from prying eyes, Stratton and Zara take stock of their situation. They manage to strike a blow against the architect, but they also know that he's still out there, and the global blackout is still imminent. As Zara pores over the data they extracted from the server farm, she discovers a disturbing anomaly, a hidden communication channel that points to something far more sinister than they initially suspected. "This can't be right," she says, her brow furrowed in concentration. The architect isn't acting alone. He has help on the inside. Stratton is immediately skeptical. Inside where? The Moroccan government? Some other organization? "No," Zara replies, her voice grave. "Inside your agency. Someone within your own ranks is feeding the architect information, sabotaging your efforts." The revelation hits Stratton like a punch to the gut. He's always known that the world of espionage is filled with betrayal and deception, but the thought that someone within his own agency is working against him is almost too much to bear. He thinks back to the mission in Prague, the one that went sideways, the one that cost so many lives. Could the architect have had an inside man back then as well? Could that be the reason why the mission failed? He also remembers the complications he faced. Getting to Morocco, the bureaucratic red tape, the corrupt officials. Could those obstacles have been deliberately placed in his path, designed to slow him down? "Who is it?" he demands, his voice tight with anger. "Who's the traitor?" Zara explains that the communication channel is encrypted, but she's managed to trace it back to a specific IP address within the agency's headquarters. She can't identify the individual, but she knows that they have a high level of access and clearance. Stratton realizes that he can't trust anyone, not even Sterling. He has to assume that everyone is a suspect until proven otherwise. That he's alone, fighting a war on two fronts, against the architect and against a traitor within his own ranks. The revelation changes everything. He can no longer rely on the agency for support or information. He has to rely on his own skills, his own instincts, and his partnership with Zara. "We have to find out who this inside man is," he says, his eyes hardening. "We have to expose him and bring him to justice." Zara nods in agreement. "I'll do what I can," she says. "But be careful, Stratton. This is going to be dangerous." The clock is ticking, and the global blackout looms closer. Stratton is facing his greatest challenge yet, a battle against an enemy he can't see, an enemy who is hiding in plain sight. Armed with the devastating knowledge of the inside man, Stratton knows he can't stay put. He and Zara move to a new location, a remote Berber village nestled high in the Atlas Mountains. Stratton attempts to contact Sterling, using a secure channel, to inform her of the situation, But his call is intercepted. He hears a familiar voice on the other end. But it's not Sterling, that it's someone else, someone he thought he could trust. Before he can react, the village is swarmed by a team of black ops soldiers, their faces obscured by masks, their weapons drawn. They are Stratton's own people, sent to eliminate him. Betrayed and ambushed, Stratton knows he's been set up. The inside man has revealed his location, turning his own agency against him. He and Zara are caught in a deadly crossfire, bullets ripping through the air, tearing apart the peaceful village. Stratton reacts instinctively, using his tactical skills to protect himself and Zara. He leads her through a maze of narrow alleyways, dodging gunfire and explosions. That he uses the environment to his advantage, setting traps, creating diversions, and taking down enemies with ruthless efficiency. That he realizes that he can't fight his way out, that he's outnumbered and outgunned, and the village is surrounded. He has to find a way to escape, to disappear into the vastness of the Atlas Mountains. He leads Zara to a hidden cave, a secret passage known only to the local Berbers. They slip through the opening just as the Black Ops soldiers close in. Inside the cave, they find a network of underground tunnels that lead to a remote mountain pass. They navigate the treacherous tunnels, their progress slow and arduous. As they emerge from the cave, they are confronted by a small group of Berber warriors, armed with rifles and swords. The Berbers are suspicious of outsiders, but Stratton manages to convince them that he's not the enemy. He explains the situation, the betrayal, the impending global blackout. The Berbers agree to help them, providing them with horses and guiding them through the mountain pass. They know the terrain like the back of their hands, and they are skilled warriors. That as they ride through the mountains, Stratton reflects on the betrayal he's suffered. He realizes that he can't trust anyone, not even the people he thought were his allies. That he's alone, fighting a war against a powerful and ruthless enemy. The clock is ticking, and the global blackout looms closer. Stratton knows that he has to stop the architect, but he also knows that he has to clear his name, to expose the inside man, and to bring his betrayers to justice. The stakes have never been higher. Now a fugitive, hunted by his own agency, and with limited resources, Stratton relies on his training and instincts to stay one step ahead. That he and Zara disappear from the Atlas Mountains, using a network of contacts to move across continents, always careful to avoid detection. Zara, using her hacking skills, manages to scrub their digital footprints, making it nearly impossible for the agency to track them. They are ghosts, operating in the shadows, relying on each other for survival. Despite their precarious situation, Stratton remains focused on his mission, stopping the architect and preventing the global blackout. That he knows that every second counts, that the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Using a combination of old-school intelligence gathering and Zara's hacking skills, Stratton begins to piece together the architect's plan. He discovers that the architect has relocated his operation to a heavily fortified compound deep within the Siberian wilderness. The compound is located in a remote and isolated region, surrounded by miles of snow-covered forests and treacherous terrain. That it's protected by state-of-the-art security systems, armed guards, and a network of surveillance technology. Infiltrating the compound will be a suicide mission, but Stratton knows that he has no choice. It's the only way to stop the architect and save the world. He and Zara travel to Siberia, braving the harsh weather conditions and evading the watchful eyes of the Russian authorities. They rely on the help of a local guide, a grizzled old trapper, who knows the terrain like the back of his hand. The trapper leads them to a hidden vantage point overlooking the compound. Stratton studies the layout, analyzing the security systems, identifying potential weaknesses. That he knows that he needs a plan, a strategy to infiltrate the compound and disable the architect's network. Zara, meanwhile, is working to hack into the compound's security systems, trying to disable the alarms and cameras. She's facing a formidable challenge, but she's determined to succeed. As they prepare to launch their assault, Stratton knows that the odds are stacked against them. They are outnumbered, outgunned, and hunted by their own agency. But he also knows that they are the only ones who can stop the architect. He looks at Zara, her face etched with determination. That he knows that he can rely on her, that she will stand by him, no matter what. "Are you ready?" he asks, his voice resolute. "Always," she replies, her eyes shining with courage. Together, They embark on a perilous journey into the heart of darkness, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. The fate of the world rests on their shoulders. As Zara works to disable the compound's outer defenses, Stratton uses a hidden communication channel to contact Sterling. Knowing it's a gamble, his surprise, Sterling answers, her voice filled with urgency and disbelief. She confirms that she's been locked out of the system, unaware of the order to eliminate Stratton. Before Stratton can fully trust her, he demands she reveal the identity of the inside man. Sterling hesitates, but then provides a name: Marcus Thorne, a high-ranking official within the agency, and, shockingly, Elias Thorne's brother. Stratton realizes this is more than just a political power played at its personal. Marcus blames Stratton for the events in Prague 10 years ago, for the death of his brother, or so he believes, and for the shame and disgrace that followed. That he's been waiting for an opportunity to exact his revenge, and the Architect's cyber attack provided the perfect cover. Stratton instructs Sterling to meet him at a designated location outside the compound. Knowing it's a trap, that he wants to confront Marcus, to understand his motives, and to bring him to justice. As he approaches the meeting point, he's ambushed by Marcus and a squad of Black Ops soldiers. A fierce firefight ensues, bullets ripping through the air, shattering the silence of the Siberian wilderness. Stratton uses his tactical skills to outmaneuver the soldiers, taking them down one by one. He's a force of nature, a whirlwind of violence that leaves a trail of destruction in its wake. That he finally confronts Marcus, a physical showdown between two men driven by hatred and revenge. They engage in a brutal hand-to-hand combat, a clash of strength and skill. Marcus reveals his motive, his burning desire to make Stratton pay for what happened in Prague. That he believes that Stratton ruined his life, that he's responsible for the pain and suffering he's endured. Stratton listens to Marcus's rant, his face etched with a mixture of anger and pity. He understands Marcus's pain, but he can't condone his actions. The fight intensifies, each man determined to kill the other. Stratton eventually gains the upper hand, disarming Marcus and subduing him. That he stands over Marcus, his weapon drawn, his finger on the trigger. He has a choice to make: to kill Marcus and avenge his betrayal, or to spare his life and bring him to justice. That he hesitates, his conscience weighing on him. He knows that killing Marcus will not bring back the lives that were lost in Prague, that it will not ease his own pain. That he lowers his weapon, deciding to spare Marcus's life. That he knows that justice is best served in a courtroom, not on a battlefield. He leaves Marcus for Sterling to apprehend, knowing that he will face the consequences of his actions. Stratton has more important things to worry about: stopping the Architect and preventing the global blackout. The clock is ticking, and the world is counting on him. With Marcus Thorne apprehended and the truth revealed to Sterling, who arrives with a team to secure the area, Stratton knows he has to move fast. The global blackout is mere hours away. That he leaves Zara to assist Sterling, knowing her hacking skills will be invaluable in securing Marcus and gathering intel. Alone, Stratton approaches the Siberian compound. Zara managed to disable some of the outer security measures, but the facility is still heavily guarded. He's facing overwhelming odds, but he's determined to complete his mission. That he uses his tactical skills to infiltrate the compound, moving with stealth and precision. That he utilizes the environment to his advantage. Using the shadows and the snow to conceal his movements, he encounters a squad of security guards patrolling the perimeter. He takes them down silently, using his close-quarters combat skills to neutralize them. Without raising the alarm, that he moves deeper into the compound, facing wave after wave of security forces. He's a one-man army, a force of nature that cannot be stopped. He uses a variety of weapons to eliminate the security forces: his pistol, his knife, improvised explosives. He's a master of improvisation, adapting to any situation, using whatever resources are available to him. That he utilizes his tactical skills to outmaneuver the security forces, setting traps, creating diversions, and using the environment to his advantage. He's a master strategist, always thinking one step ahead of his enemy. That he moves with brutal efficiency, eliminating the security forces with cold-blooded precision. He's a hardened warrior, accustomed to violence, capable of making difficult decisions under pressure. The compound is a maze of corridors and rooms, each one guarded by security forces. Stratton navigates the maze with ease, using his knowledge of tactical warfare to overcome any obstacle. He encounters heavily armed mercenaries, elite soldiers who are loyal to the architect. He engages them in fierce firefights, bullets ripping through the air, shattering glass, and tearing apart the compound. That he uses his tactical skills to outflank the mercenaries, taking them down with well-aimed shots. That he's a marksman of unparalleled skill, capable of hitting any target, no matter how small or how far away. That he fights his way through the compound, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. He's determined to reach the architect, to stop him from unleashing the global blackout. The hours are ticking away, and the world is counting on him. But he knows that he can't afford to fail. He has to push himself to the limit, to overcome any obstacle, to defeat any enemy. The fate of humanity rests on his shoulders. Stratton finally reaches the architect's command center, a high-tech control room filled with computer screens and sophisticated equipment. The architect, Elias Thorne, is there, calmly overseeing the final stages of the global blackout. The architect turns to face Stratton, a chilling smile on his face. He's not surprised to see him. That he knew that Stratton would come, that he would be the one to challenge him. "Welcome, Stratton," he says, his voice calm and collected. "I've been expecting you." Stratton stares at the architect, his face etched with anger and determination. He's finally face to face with the man who has caused so much chaos and destruction. "It's over, Thorne," he says, his voice resolute. "I'm here to stop you." The architect laughs, a hollow and cynical sound. "Stop me? You can't stop me, Stratton. I've already unleashed the blackout. The world is about to change forever." He reveals his nihilistic worldview, his belief that humanity is inherently flawed, that it's destined for self-destruction. That he sees the global blackout as a necessary cleansing, a way to wipe the slate clean and start anew. "I'm not trying to destroy the world, Stratton," he says. "I'm trying to save it. I'm giving humanity a chance to rebuild, to create a better future." Stratton scoffs at the architect's twisted logic. "You're a madman, Thorne," he says. "You're destroying everything that's good in the world." The architect shrugs. "Perhaps," he says, "but I'm also giving humanity a choice to change, to evolve, to become something better." The conversation devolves into a battle of wits, a clash of ideologies. Stratton tries to reason with the architect, to convince him to stop the blackout. But the architect is unyielding, convinced that he's doing the right thing. The battle of wits escalates into a physical confrontation. The architect is surprisingly agile and skilled. A formidable opponent. He uses his knowledge of the compound to his advantage, setting traps, creating diversions, and using the environment to his advantage. Stratton is forced to use all of his skills to defend himself, dodging attacks, countering blows, and trying to gain the upper hand. The fight is brutal and intense, a clash of strength and skill. The two men exchange blows, each one determined to defeat the other. The architect reveals a hidden blade, attempting to stab Stratton, but Stratton manages to disarm him, knocking the blade out of his hand. The fight culminates in a final showdown, a desperate struggle for survival. Stratton overpowers the architect, pinning him to the ground. That he has a choice to make: to kill the architect and end the threat, or to spare his life and bring him to justice. The fate of the world hangs in the balance. Stratton, choosing to uphold justice rather than succumb to vengeance, subdues the architect but doesn't kill him. He knows that the architect's network is still active, the global blackout still imminent. Ignoring his own injuries, Stratton races to the main computer console, the control center for the architect's network. He knows that he has to act fast, that every second counts. He pulls out the flash drive containing the countervirus, the program that Zara developed to disable the architect's network and prevent the global blackout. He plugs the flash drive into the computer, initiating the upload process. The computer screens flicker, displaying lines of code. As the countervirus begins to spread throughout the network, the architect watches in horror, realizing that his plan is about to be thwarted. He tries to stop Stratton, lunging at him with a desperate lunge. But Stratton is too quick, too skilled. He dodges the attack and shoves the architect away, pinning him against the wall. The upload process is slow, agonizingly slow. The clock is ticking, and the global blackout is drawing ever closer. Stratton can see the darkness spreading across the computer screens. engulfing cities and countries that he glances at his watch, his heart pounding in his chest. There are mere minutes left before the blackout becomes irreversible. Finally, the upload process reaches 100% that a message appears on the screen. Countervirus successfully deployed. Network disabled. The darkness on the computer screens begins to recede, the cities and countries reappearing, bathed in light. The global blackout has been averted. Stratton collapses. Exhausted but triumphant, he's done it. He's saved the world. He looks at the architect, his face a mask of defeat and despair. "It's over, Thorne," he says, his voice hoarse. "You've failed." The architect says nothing, his eyes filled with hatred and resentment. He knows that he's been defeated, that his plan has been ruined. Sterling and her team arrive, securing the compound and taking the architect into custody. They thank Stratton for his service, acknowledging the sacrifice he's made. Stratton simply nods, his thoughts already turning to the future. He knows that the world will never be the same, that the threat of cyberterrorism will always be present. But he also knows that humanity is resilient, that it's capable of overcoming any challenge. He has faith in the human spirit, in the power of good to triumph over evil. As he walks away from the compound, he knows that his mission is complete. He's done what he had to do, and he's ready to return to his quiet life, to the solitude of the Scottish wilderness. But he also knows that he will never truly be at peace, that the memories of his past will always haunt him. He will always be ready to answer the call, to defend the world against any threat. In the aftermath, as the world slowly recovers from the brink of digital collapse, Stratton vanishes. He declines Sterling's offer to return to the agency, knowing that he can no longer trust the system, that he needs to operate outside the lines, to be a force for good without being constrained by bureaucracy or political agendas. He says his goodbyes to Zara, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they forged in the crucible of danger. He knows she will continue to fight the good fight in her own way, using her skills to protect the vulnerable and expose corruption. He returns to his cottage in Scotland, seeking the solace of the wilderness. But things are different now. The quiet life he once cherished is forever tainted by the knowledge of what he's capable of, by the realization that the world is a dangerous place, full of threats both visible and unseen. That he sits by the fire, staring into the flames, haunted by the memories of his past, by the faces of those he's lost, by the choices he's made. He knows that he can never truly escape his past, that it will always be a part of him. He looks out at the stormy sea, the waves crashing against the rocks, a constant reminder of the chaos that lurks beneath the surface of everyday life. That he knows that the world is safe, for now, but that the threat will always return. That he picks up his phone, a familiar device that has become both a lifeline and a symbol of the dangers he faces. He knows that it will ring again, that he will be called upon to defend the world against some new threat. He accepts his fate, knowing that he will always be a warrior, a protector, a guardian of the innocent. He knows that his quiet life is over, that he will never truly be at peace. But he also knows that he's making a difference, that he's using his skills to make the world a better place. He has found a purpose in his life, a reason to keep fighting. That he walks out of his cottage, into the stormy night, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. He's a ghost, a shadow, a force to be reckoned with. He's John Stratton, and he's always watching, always ready to answer the call. The world is safe, but forever changed, and so is he.